Over the course of their lifetimes, older Americans have successfully endured many challenges. Whether it be the economic hardships of the Great Depression or the sacrifices made by the greatest generation, Americans have consistently shown resilience in the face of adversity. In the recent past, for example, undemocratic societies were viewed as a challenge to our very way of life. Yet in the face of freedom, strength of purpose, and economic might, the Berlin Wall fell. With each of these previous challenges, as with many others, government served as our partner in developing the solutions required. But for the children of the greatest generation, the baby boomers, their mettle will be tested in new ways, especially in terms of retirement. Never before have so many been so underprepared for so great a challenge. Those Americans in the leading edge of the baby boomer generation are now nearing traditional retirement age. Over the next 20 years, tens of millions of these boomers will face the prospect of maintaining their standards of living for durations without precedent. Retirements lasting 30 years will not be remarkable, but will instead be seen in millions of instances. Considering the fact that 6 out of 10 save nothing in preparation for retirement, it should be no surprise that an estimated 95% of Americans will not retire financially independent. Baby boomers, after all, have grown up in a culture of spending rather than saving. Their lack of willingness to set money aside for the future is a primary factor in creating a national savings rate that, in recent years, has been less than zero. Visit any shopping mall, attend any sporting event, or dine at any restaurant. Every other person you see systematically spends more money than he or she earns. The baby boomers have been the beneficiaries of society's medical, technological, educational, and social advancements. Their standards of living, their material possessions, and their level of education outpaced their parents' generation by a wide margin. But their inability or unwillingness to confront financial reality in terms of their retirements may cause them to become ironic victims of the very same factors that led to their enhanced pre-retirement quality of life. How else can one explain the fact that 7 out of 10 boomers have no plan in place for their retirement paycheck, or that 75% do not understand or have not considered how to convert their own retirement savings into a retirement paycheck? Perhaps the most alarming statistic of all is that the vast majority, 86%, expect to have a comfortable retirement. Of course, expectations won't pay bills. For seniors and boomers alike, no other financial test is likely to equal the challenge of creating adequate retirement income. In fact, if one could design a perfect challenge, this may be it. Simply stated, millions of hard-working Americans will find it difficult to make their money last as long as they do. Just consider 2 key reasons why. The first has no historical precedent. It's longevity. Everyone knows that people are living longer. You may have a family member who has lived to age 90 or 95 years or more. How different this is from the past. In 1900, a person could be expected to live to age 47. In historical terms, it wasn't that long ago when a person who reached age 40 was considered to be old. But how that's changed. Today's 40-year-old is youthful and vibrant, perhaps just starting a family. Over the past 100 years, the length of life has virtually doubled. But what will the future hold? Advances in understanding of the nature of diseases are occurring at breakneck speed. Powerful new drugs have emerged. They allow people to live for extended periods with the very same diseases that in the past would have taken their lives. But as research into new and better treatments continues, the entire notion of what constitutes a long life may have to change. In the future, will 80 be considered old? Will 100? Or will we see lots of people continue to be productive at 80 or 90 or even 100? It may prove true that today's old age is merely tomorrow's middle age. In addition to longevity, there's another challenge that desperately calls for a solution. This concerns the way we accumulate our money for the future. When it comes to their savings, many Americans are risk-averse. They've seen the stock markets bounce around. In the past, many caught the investing wave, only to flee investments in the face of mounting losses. Here's a remarkable fact that you should know. Those who invest typically suffer subpar results. One needs only look at the experience of mutual fund investors to see that this is true. According to Dalbar Associates' Quantitative Analysis of Investor Behavior Study from 1983 to 2002, a 19-year period that includes the greatest bull market in stocks ever, the average investor earned only 2.57%. What makes this an even more disturbing reality is that the typical investors fail to even keep up with inflation. Over the same period, inflation averaged 3.14%. This is a gigantic failing with highly negative implications for our futures unless a workable solution is found. Failing to keep pace with inflation means a continuing, ever-declining standard of living. Nobody wants to reach 85 years of age only to find himself or herself poor and reliant upon their children. If you were born during the 1940s or earlier, you can probably remember a time when 25 cents bought a movie ticket, when a loaf of bread cost 10 cents, and when you could purchase a new car for $800. Think of what these items cost you today, and what they may cost you in 20 or 30 years, and you'll begin to understand the magnitude of the problem in the future. When you consider that millions of older Americans will be forced to rely upon their retirement assets to produce income for periods that may range as long as 30 or 40 years or more, it's easy to conclude that the pressure is on. People will need to find better ways to create retirement income that is better able to keep pace with inflation. So if people are encountering difficulty growing their money effectively, if they're looking toward retirements that may last decades, and if their money stands to be eroded away due to the effects of higher prices, what do they do? Just plan to keep working? Disturbingly, that's the conclusion that millions of good Americans may be coming to. An AARP study released in September 2003 indicates that 7 out of 10 Americans plan to work past age 65. Moreover, as many as one-half anticipate working into their 70s and 80s. In a loud voice, Americans are telling the experts that the idealized concept of retirement has been turned on its head. They're also saying that they've not found a solution to these challenges that they can embrace with confidence. Until now.